back to another episode of the MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, and today I'm very excited to bring you the 6th special edition figure in the line, Gorilla Grodd. And pretty appropriate that the MonkeyBoy here is doing a gorilla, a chimp, a simian, whatever you want to call him, I guess, whatever the technical term would be. But man, this guy is absolutely fantastic. Very excited to show this one to you, to bring it to you. As always, first we'll start real quick with the packaging, because the special editions generally do come in different packaging. As you can see, it has the DC Comics Superhero Collection Eaglemoss logo at the top, along with the stamp of approval for solid lead figure in the corner there. And on the side of the packaging, it has some nice artwork of Gorilla Grodd, as well as his name on the side. And of course, the box is a little bit darker, and it's extremely huge, because this guy is a very large figure. And of course, as always, the magazine itself does not have his name on the cover anywhere, as you can see, nor is it numbered. It just says special, where the number normally appears. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as always. The original thinking section, of course, is different because this is a special edition character, and he gets a few more classic storylines to look at as well. But we'll cover all of that, of course, in the magazine, which will tell us pretty much everything we need to know about Mr. Gorilla Grodd here, and then we will look at this outstanding special edition figure covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. Can't wait for you guys to see him. Please sit back, relax, enjoy the 6th special edition figure, part of the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, Gorilla Grodd. First up, Grodd's character section. And it's here that we learned many years ago that an alien spacecraft crash-landed in the heart of Africa and was discovered by a troop of gorillas. Two of the gorillas in particular were affected, the first being Solivar, who became their leader. The other was his polar opposite, the gorilla who would call himself Grodd. Even after the incident with the humans, Solivar managed to stay in power after agreeing to erect a force field around the city that would render it invisible to the outside world. Solivar managed to send a call for help from his prison cell, and it was received by Justice League member Barry Allen, also known as the Flash. The next couple of pages talk more about Grodd after his encounter with the Flash. We see him taking on other heroes in the DCU, like members of the Teen Titans and the Justice League. It also tells us that Grodd is not opposed to fighting against other villains in the DCU if they get in his way. We also learn that sometimes he can play well with others, having joined up with such supervillainous teams as the Injustice League Unlimited and the Secret Society of Supervillains. Next we take a look at some of Grodd's classic stories. First we have The Flash, number 106. And this classic Silver Age tale is Grodd's very first appearance in comic books. We find him imprisoning Solivar, taking over Gorilla City, and then having to deal with Barry Allen, the Flash, who comes to the rescue at the very last minute. It's a wonderful story, and it's interesting to note that although it has been retold multiple times over the years, it's never really changed. Next we look at JLA Annual number 3. This story is yet another attempt by Gorilla Grodd to take over the world, this time using a new device dubbed the Gorilla Bomb, which, when detonated, turns any human life form around it into a gorilla. He actually manages to use it against members of the Justice League, and it's their story basically trying to find a cure and to wrestle back these simian emotions to destroy humanity. It's really fun and definitely worth checking out. Next up, Birds of Prey, number 22 through 24. And this story opens with Black Canary and members of the Birds of Prey trying to find the location of Gorilla City, but it's most important to Gorilla Grodd because we see him depicted in a very different way here. Instead of the ape-like creature that's always sort of fighting everyone, we see him here as a more cold and calculating type of politician who's ruling Gorilla City with an iron fist. Next, the Injustice League. And this is just a big, fun action-adventure story that finds Lex Luthor uniting a bunch of villains in the DCU to form the Injustice League Unlimited, and they attack the Justice League and other heroes on the day of Green Arrow and Black Canary's wedding. It's just fun, it's action-packed, and it sets up the comic series that was coming next, called Salvation Run. Finally, we have Salvation Run number 4. And this series picks up right after the end of Injustice League Unlimited. We find members of the Injustice League transported to another planet that's a prison planet called Salvation Run, and they have split off into two warring factions. Grodd joins up with the Joker and his gang, who also has another hyper-intelligent ape named Monsieur Mala, and this is the issue where Mala and Grodd come to blows. Ultimately, Grodd kills both Monsieur Mala and his partner, the Brain, and it's just yet another fun, crazy story that shows how violent and malicious and cold Grodd can ultimately be. The next few pages detail some of his friends and foes, featuring, of course, his arch-nemesis, the Flash, as well as members of the Injustice League, Professor Zoom, and Lex Luthor. And finally, Grodd's original thinking section talks a little bit more about some other apes in the DC universe. It looks at Sam Simeon and his partner Angel O'Day, Bobo, the detective chimp, the King Kong-like Titano, a closer look at Monsieur Mala and his partner the Brain, the deranged scientist known as the Ultra-Humanite, and finally the heroic Kong Gorilla. Here we have Gorilla Grodd, and this guy is by far the best of the special editions so far. He takes the cake hands down. Give him the award. He is the champion, the one, the benchmark that all other special editions will now be compared to. This guy is massive in scale. I'm not even going to wait for the pictures in the next section. Boom, there's Flash. And you can see, he's just massive. And this is a human skull he is holding in that hand. I'm sure you can tell, because the detail as well is astounding on this guy. And yeah, that's pretty much to scale right there. So he's just absolutely massive in size when you compare him to someone like the Flash, his primary nemesis. I mean, look at this. He's just ridiculously huge when you compare the two. I'm trying to manipulate them there. I mean, look at that. Look at that. He's like quadruple, I think, the size, probably. Not necessarily in height, but just in sheer mass. He's huge. He's great. Not to mention, all of the detail on this guy is fantastic. You can see his face, all the detail on his nose, every tooth and fang, his eyes. He's got the great defined brow. Fantastic details all the way around him. And I love the fact that they put him in his ceremonial garb here, with the big G for Grodd on his belt and everything, and the loincloth, down to the fact that they, detailed everything, even the nails on his feet. It's awesome. I mean, he's great, and he's heavy, solid lead figure here, folks. It's absolutely fantastic. Cannot recommend this guy enough. More detail here and some more comparisons and better pictures. Just a second. Grodd stands atop the DC logo, and on the underside of his base is his name along with serial number. And once again, just so you guys get a sense of the size and scale of this guy, here he is next to the Wally West Flash, and you can see he's just massive in size. Also, to compare him, here he is with all of the other special editions they've released so far, and again, you can see he's taller than most and much more detailed. Also, a couple fun shots of him staring down members of the Justice League. And finally, a group shot of him along with all the other members of the Injustice League of America. So, Gorilla Grodd, if you can't tell, really love this guy. I can't recommend him enough. I feel he is probably the first special edition to truly live up to that title. Anti-Monitor came pretty close. The detail is the one issue I sort of have with him. He could have been a little bit more detailed. But Grodd here, man, he is outstanding. We'll, of course, start with the good. Pretty much everything about this guy. There's nothing really about him that I don't like. All the way down to his feet, which are so incredibly detailed. They have every toenail, every little wrinkle and crinkle from the knuckles in his toes. Love how you can see the muscle definition underneath all of the fur on him, and the fur is so incredibly detailed. The shading, the highlighting, it's so well done. Love the ceremonial garb on him as well. The fact that they didn't make him a naked ape is great. That they put him in one of his costumes really helps him stand out, and it doesn't make him look like sort of a King Kong or a Mighty Joe Young type of figure, which would have been kind of funny, really. Love all of the jewelry on him, the bracelets, the armbands, the necklace. The fact that it's this really nice, dull, kind of gold metallic makes it look ancient, makes it look old, like their tribe has been around for a long, long time. They're this ancient civilization, which they sort of are. The hands are fantastic as well. The definition on them and the everything. The fact that he has fingernails. And the skull, in the other hand, is not only to scale, but so nicely done. You can see the teeth, you can see the eye sockets, and the nice off-white is really cool, too. It looks like bone. It's fantastic. The face on him, too. Another fantastic head sculpt. Love the fangs in his mouth. You can see his eyes, the big flared nostrils. Really, absolutely fantastic all the way around on this guy. I don't really have a whole lot of bad things to say about him, but we'll go ahead and look at the bad anyway. The only major complaint that I can think of on this guy is the expression on the face. While the sculpt is really fantastic, my expression, and I don't know if this is true of all, he just looks sort of dopey, maybe a little stoned or something. Just doesn't look very aggressive. I would have liked a slightly more aggressive look, maybe a bit more of a snarl on his face. That's the only little itty-bitty minor stupid complaint I have. The ugly, nothing. Solid figure. There's nothing breakable about this guy. If I thought Doomsday was a weapon, this guy is much more so. He's definitely a weight that you can use, like the anti-monitor. Here you go, you have a set of barbells now. You got anti-monitor in one hand and Grodd in the other. He's so heavy. You know, he's huge, he's outstanding, he's magnificent. I love this guy. I think he's a must-have in your collection. He's going to be a bit more expensive than most. He can go for as much as, I think, $40 or $50, depending on where you're shopping. So, you know, if you can find him for somewhere in the 30 range, I think you're doing pretty well. But this guy, great. Love him, love him, love him. He looks great with all the other villains. He looks fantastic with the Flash. It's nice to have another Flash villain. Really cool special edition figure. Can't recommend him enough, as I've said. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this issue. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser trailer of the next issue in the line, going back into the regular series with issue number 47. And it's another hero, ladies and gentlemen, and another Teen Titan, and a Titan that I have been dying to get to, so please stay tuned for that. As always, I am your host, the Monkey Boy, aka J to his friends. Thanks so much for watching.